If the main objective is to get rid of nuclear bombs, why you need to attack Iran?
No,
Why
you're
you
asking
need,
the wrong question, Nima.
let me ask the right question, Scott. The right question would be why the Trump administration put a lot of pressure on Iran. Why they're not easing the pressure, the sanctions, in order to facilitate the negotiations?
That's a fair question. That's again, you guys get me wrong. I'm not promoting this war at all. I'm telling you there's going to be a frickin' war. End of story. Because the Trump administration isn't playing the game you want them to play. They aren't doing what Larry and I want them to do. They're not logical. They're not even inclined towards peace. They're looking for a specific outcome. That's what I've been saying all along. You misconstrue me. Larry said that, and I agree with everything Larry said, except the following. Larry, Iran is a signatory to the NPT. And when they signed the NPT in 1970, they said, we will not be a nuclear power. That is a commitment they made by law. And as long as Iran is a member of the NPT, they shall be held accountable to the NPT. If Iran wants nuclear weapons, then do what North Korea did. Leave the NPT and then pursue it. But Iran's been playing a stupid game, because you can't, on the one hand, say we don't want a nuclear weapon, or we've issued a fatwa of such importance, by the way, because of its religious consequences, and it's against haram, it's forbidden. You can't have nuclear weapons. But as Larijani said, we can have nuclear weapons, which means the fatwa was a smokescreen the entire time, because the Iranians always knew that they could get out of it if the conditions arose. And again, we come down to the fact 60% enriched uranium. There's no justifiable purpose for this uranium under Iran's declared peaceful program. And you mentioned Larijani speaking out right now. Okay, first of all, you can't say, understand this, you either have a nuclear program or you don't have a nuclear program. What you can't allow is what Iran's trying to get, to say, we don't have one, except we could get one very quickly, which means they have one in waiting, that they have put all the pieces together. It's not just Larijani. His statement's just the most recent in a series of statements that date back to last year, where IRGC generals in charge of Iran's nuclear program have said, we have all the components. We have everything we need but the fissile material, and we can get that overnight. Former foreign minister said the same thing. A series of officials said that. The Iranian parliament petitioned the supreme leader to do away with the fatwa. You have a member of the Expediency Discernment Council saying, we have already considered the conditions under which the fatwa could be released. These are the stupid things. These are the waving the red flag in Trump's face. We know Trump's not going to do the right thing. Why make it easier for him? And then the other thing I'll say is this, Larry, we have destroyed a nation using strategic power. Iraq, I was there. The strategic air campaign in Operation Desert Storm defeated Iraq, broke them, brought them to their knees, made them surrender. And we have the ability, because we haven't done anything like that since then. People don't understand. We've been playing stupid games. In Afghanistan, we didn't go into Afghanistan with nation-ending military power. We're not going against the Houthi with nation-ending military power. If we go against Iran, we're coming in with a completely different game book. It is a nation-ending campaign. This isn't going to be a one-of. This will be a strategic air campaign designed to last in a sustained fashion until which time Iran is defeated. And it's stupid. I don't agree with it. I'm against it. But it's what's going to happen. Will it succeed? Nothing's guaranteed in this world. But I'll tell you what, the death and destruction that will be brought to bear on Iran will be catastrophic. Now, they may be able to do damage to us regionally. They may be able to do other things and cause global energy markets to explode and all that. That doesn't save the Iranian people, and it won't save the Iranian regime. Because the other thing that's happening here, and people need to keep this in mind, I've been dead set against economic sanctions forever because I just find them to be cruel to innocent civilians. And they don't succeed in getting governments to change their mind. But what they do is they weaken governments. They undermine governments. The reason why Iraq's regime fell so quickly in 2003 is because of a decade of sustained sanctions. The reason why Syria collapsed so quickly was because of decades of sustained sanctions that broke the will, broke the cohesion. Iran is a nation that's been under sanctions for a long time. A significant percentage of the Iranian population are young people who are frustrated by the fact that their government, all these former revolutionaries, are getting quite long in the tooth. These are old guys. There's not another generation of people running up to take their place. The old people entrench themselves at every chance they get, and the young people are frustrated. In 2023, in the summer, you had that incident with the Kurdish girl that got about the hijab, and she was killed in a police state, or she died in police custody, and Iran exploded. I spoke to Raisi in September, and he said this was an effort by multiple intelligence agencies to bring down Iran. This was a regime change operation, and it was the greatest threat to Iran since the Iran-Iraq war. This is the president of Iran saying this, which means that those forces are still out there. Iran survived that test in 2023. It's now 2025 with sanctions on the way. Is there any guarantee that once we apply tremendous military pressure and we eliminate the regime, because we will eliminate the regime? I'm just saying, this isn't going to be pinprick. This is going to be a regime-ending exercise. And what happens then if all the intelligence agencies come in? Are you telling me that the Baluch aren't going to rise up? You're telling me that the Arabs of Afaz aren't going to rise up, that the Azerbaijanis aren't going to rise up, that the various ethnic groups, the Kurds, that we've been picking apart for years, aren't going to rise up? I don't want Iran to go away. I think the Islamic Republic is the legal, legitimate government of Iran. But I'm just saying here, I felt the same way about Bashar al-Assad. He disappeared that quick. This is a very dangerous game that's being played here, and Russia is not going to come riding to the rescue. Russia said the same thing about regional consequences when the United States unilaterally and illegally invaded Iraq in 2003. And Russia and China will sit back and watch the United States make mistake after mistake after mistake, as we always do, and they will continue to try to mitigate the consequences of this error. But no one's coming to the aid of Iran. Iran has hung itself out to dry. Remember, Russia and China are both members of the IAEA. They sit on the board of governors, and while they haven't participated in the votes to condemn Iran's behavior because they understand the political consequences of that, none of them, nobody supports Iran's nuclear program becoming a weapon. Not a single nation, not a single signatory to the NPT. And that's Iran's fatal mistake. That's what I personally believe, that this could have been avoided had Iran simply put its nuclear program on the, and people say, well, what about this, that, and the other thing? Israel's been trying to get us to bomb Iran for decades, for a quarter of a century, and we haven't. Why? Because the costs always outweighed the gains. But now we've come to a situation where Iran has made it easy for those warmongers to justify it internally by creating a de facto nuclear weapons program that, if manifested, represents an existential threat to the survival of Israel. 3 to 5 nuclear weapons against Israel eliminates Israel forever. It's gone. And whether you say, well, that's a good thing, that's not the point. The United States government, as it's currently configured, views it as a bad thing. And therefore, the United States government's willing to bring the totality of American military strength to bear to prevent that. And this is what I've been trying to impart on people. Maybe the urgency in which I've been trying to say it leads people to believe that I support this military action. I don't. I condemn it wholeheartedly. It's going to be devastating to us, the American people. This isn't going to end well for us either. But that doesn't save millions of Iranian lives that will be lost. That's what people tend to forget, that I'm not out here to promote American policy. I'm actually trying to save millions of Iranian lives. And it's very frustrating for me to watch the Iranian government lead their nation down this path of inevitable destruction, because Iran's not going to win this war. America may not win it either, but I can guarantee you one outcome. Iran will not win this war. In a battle of existential consequences, the United States will not be defeated, not as long as it exists. It's the same concept Russia has, and Russia understands this. When, as Vladimir Putin said, a world without Russia isn't a world worth living in. And from the mindset of the American first people that currently govern, a world where America can be defeated by an Iran is not a world worth living in. We will not lose this war. Iran will be destroyed. And I've been talking till I'm blue and red in the face to try and stop it. But no, this could have been stopped by Iran putting its nuclear program. And again, I agree with Larry. Iran, it's a member of the NPT and it should accrue all the rights afforded to it under the NPT. But because it's a signatory to the NPT, it has no right to have nuclear weapons. Is it a fair world we live in? What about Pakistan? What about India? I'm not saying, what about Israel? Everybody keeps bringing that up. It's not fair. I'm not pretending this is fair. I'm not looking for, balance. I'm speaking reality as it currently exists. It doesn't matter that Iran's being mistreated by the United States. What does matter is that if Iran continues to stand on this principled platform, it will be destroyed. That's the only thing that matters. And if this Israeli report is true, the moment of their destruction is rapidly approaching.